And welcome back to Live in the Hall at the Georgia Municipal Association Annual Convention. Today we're going to have some conversations going on in our policy committee meetings. There's 6 standing policy committees, and they'll be meeting today to talk about the legislative issues and later on this convention adopt the policies for the 2013 legislative session. It's hard to believe that it's almost upon us. It's like we just feel like we just got out of the last
Good
one.
point.
And with me today is Paul Radford, who is Deputy Director at GMA, and Monica Callahan from the City of Madison. And one of the issues that we're going to be discussing in these policy committees is downtowns. It's always, we love our downtowns. And we have done a study at GMA in the past couple of years about downtowns, what makes them successful and where the challenges lie. And Paul, I think we have a piece of legislation we're going to be trying to get introduced in this session. Will you share with us kind of what that plan is?
Yeah, the Downtown Task Force, as you indicated, it's been a couple of years taking a look at what our downtowns are going to look like in the future, and they've also taken a look at what are the tools, where are the gaps of what they need. There are a lot of tax credits out there that very aggressive cities can take advantage of, but they are all designed for the end user of the project, those who create jobs. We're into job creation as well, but how do you incent private sector investment in downtowns? We think is important. So this tax credit will be linked to investment in a downtown footprint that would be tied to communities that are really helping themselves, a higher tax credit for businesses in cities that are helping themselves, and a lower tax credit for businesses where city officials and the community is not necessarily embracing the importance of downtown.
And does this tax credit, is my understanding, it kind of works like the film tax credit? Is that?
It'd be modeled very similar on that. It would be based, the tax credit would be against Georgia income, and if you don't have any income, the tax credit would allow for it to be sold or transferred to another entity that does have Georgia income tax liability, similar to the film tax credit, which has been remarkably successful.
Yes, and I think those the production companies really like filming in Georgia's downtowns.
Yes, they do.
Monica, tell us a little bit some of the challenges that you see Georgia's downtowns having faced or taken on.
Sure. Well, a variety of downtowns, even if they're among the most successful.
And Madison, I think, is certainly in that.
Well, we like to think so, but we still have our challenges, just like everybody else. But downtowns experience vacancy. They experience long-term property ownership where perhaps there's not an incentive to invest.
Right.
And usually we see that come in when developers come in and they want to do something with property, and they're faced with kind of a gap financing challenge. And if we can find a way to also make it beneficial to our long-term property owners or property owners who perhaps just need that little bit of push to see the financial benefits of making downtown stable and strong, because they are existing assets on our existing infrastructure.
Right.
So it's not eating up green space, it's making sure that we're using taxpayer dollars that are already invested in our downtowns. The tax credit has real potential to help leverage some of those folks into doing improvements that can make our communities more attractive as developers come in. It can make those opportunities exist in advance. And so for those of us who are working hard in our downtowns, it's really nice to see GMA and Georgia Cities Foundation and the Downtown Partnership really offering an opportunity that brings downtown new options.
Right. And I think that was one of the things that this study committee found is that there's all this infrastructure already in place in downtowns, but there's not a great understanding, I guess, among the financial institutions as to, doing the loans for downtown projects.
Downtowns are, from the banking industry, downtowns are hard for them to get their banking minds around. It is a different type of investment portfolio. And what we were told in our study was that bankers are not going to loan in downtowns if the community does not have a strategic plan or a strategic vision in place. That's the other part of this tax credit. We're trying to tie it to communities that have taken the initiative to put in place a business plan that makes it predictable on what the community is going to do long term. Secondly, we've also found that investors who have a limited amount of capital and equity to invest are looking for a return on investment. Now, a lot of them love downtowns, and they'll accept a smaller return on investment if they think that their investment is going to return something to them.
Right.
And so if we can put in place a solid base, and as Monica indicated, our cities have water, sewer, electric, gas,
sidewalks,
they're
the
already
green,
there.
The trees and the flowers are there.
Exactly, and if we can incent not only new investment in buildings that are vacant or infill, if that's necessary, or we got people who've been there for some time and own buildings, and they would like to. If this will get them over the top, then what's going to happen is that we'll create a network of cities around the state that are strong and viable, and then they will create jobs.
Right.
And downtown is a huge business in this state.
Yes, I think we have this tendency over the years to think of job creation as the Kia plants and the Caterpillar, and there's hundreds and thousands of jobs. When you look at a downtown, where you have one business that employs 5 people,
right?
And then
but
you
ask
multiply
us how many
that.
Kia plants we create a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at downtowns collectively as an animal, and look at 5 jobs here, 10 jobs here, 20 jobs here, and they really add up.
They really
one
do.
of the things that we've learned is when we do a project, a downtown development project, using some of the tools that are out there, we make sure to go back and measure it after the fact. And we put in a new center square for other purposes, and I don't want to really talk about Madison, but I want to kind of show that animal.
Right.
One of the things we went back and did is looked at the private investment around it that infrastructure investment caused, and 150 new jobs in 4 years around there. That's bigger than any industry we've attracted in the last 3 or 4 years.
That's right.
We're just not real good at singing our song.
It doesn't come, the news doesn't come as like one big lump thing.
That's right.
It's the little pieces, and you've got to put it together and show people that, and give people that information.
And I'm proud that we've eliminated a lot of fences and boundaries in this area in state government with the Department of Community Affairs and the Georgia Downtown Association and the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia, GMA, the Georgia Cities Foundation, and a whole host of other partners are all going to come together to create what we call the Georgia Downtown Partnership.
Okay.
And we don't care what programs are out there helping communities get to the place they need to get. We will then say that you've achieved this standard. I don't care how you got there, and therefore, if we're able to get this tax credit through, that your businesses are going to enjoy an opportunity to invest in your community and get a tax credit to cover the difference between what it would be there and a greenfield development. And I think we have the potential to create thousands and thousands of jobs.
What is the likelihood? You got to get this through the legislature. What are the chances on that?
Well, 0 if we don't get our city officials behind it, and 0 if we don't get practitioners behind it. I tell you, though, there are a lot of legislators over there that understand this, and I think that if we're going to have to make a business case that why investing in downtowns is important, and number 2, why this tax credit that what you could say on one side is going to be a drain on the state budget, actually is going to be an increase in terms of revenue to the state, even though you're maybe exempting from income tax, you're creating sales taxes, you're creating other types of business revenue that's going to benefit the state. But we'll have to do a pretty substantial sales job, but it's going to have to be based upon hard facts.
Right.
And I think the General Assembly recognizes that that cities are important.
Wasn't Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle part of the task force as well?
He co-chaired the task force and has shown an interest. And there's several members of both the House and Senate. Our next challenge will be to make sure we talk to the Department of Economic Development, talk to the governor, talk to the speaker. There's a number of other people that have to be touched before we actually put this legislation.
Well, and I like your point that it's got to be a business proposition. I think we talk all the time about how downtowns are the heart and soul of a community, and I think we think very emotionally about our downtowns. But to make the case for the tax credit, you've kind of got to take the emotion out of it and show, as a business proposition, this is why this will work and do well.
Yeah, our downtowns are more than just a memory and just a,
Yeah.
or our heritage, just old heritage buildings. They are the lifeblood of our.
It's not a Rockwellian moment. It is about business.
Yeah,
Right.
it is
And
about-
small businesses are where the job growth is, and we need to catalyze that in our downtown so that it can be beneficial for the rest of Georgia. We just don't make that group announcement. That's
Yeah.
the only difference.
Well, thank you guys so much, and this will be discussed in the policy committees in the economic development.
This will be in the Revenue and Finance
Oh,
Committee
okay.
starting at 11:30.
Okay.
And we will hopefully our membership will find this to be exactly in their wheelhouse,
Right.
and then we will be engaging our folks
Right.
at our hometown connections around the state
That's
to talk to
right.
legislators about why this is important.
And start talking about it and keep talking about it right up until the legislative session and then through it.
Exactly.
That's right.
And then thank them for their help.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Thank
We're going to
you.
go back out to Aileen out in the hall, see what's going on with some of our vendors.